The Messi of chess just got his record shattered by this kid. Roman Shogziev is your new youngest international master at 10 years, 3 months, and 21 days. With his last 2 tournaments last month, he gained 2400 elo in his 2 final IM norms. I got access to the games from his last 2 tournaments, and today we'll be looking at 5 psychological tips we can learn from this 10-year-old. Our first tip arises in this critical position after Roman plays the critical rook ac8, putting pressure on this c2 pawn. His opponent can't really meet this with anything, because on bishop c3 to block, let's say, there's bishop takes a3, which wins a pawn. Pawn takes, rook takes bishop. So that's no good. So what about pawn c3? Well, here Roman has pawn to b4, putting pressure on this weakness, and after takes, there's pawn d4, opening up this queen here and putting pressure on this pawn. And after queen takes, there's rook c4 with the double attack, queen back to g1 to defend the rook, and now rook takes b4 with a lot of pressure on this white king and an overwhelming advantage. So in this position, his opponent meets the threat with another threat, rook he1, threatening this bishop. And this brings us to tip number 1. Always look further than your opponent. In this position, we are looking at this, but after queen takes, rook takes, king takes, 2 rooks is better than the queen in an endgame. So on paper, white is better, and that's probably what I am Caravere thought in this position. But Roman looked further than his opponent. Rook takes c2, best move. Queen takes, mistake. King b1 was best. Rook takes, king takes, and now what? And now black is in a bit of a jam. White is piercing through the position, but Roman found the only move from 3 moves back here, which is bishop h4. You see, if you play anything with your bishop here, let's say bishop d6, white is going to have a very nice trick here, g5, and whatever black plays here, let's say b4 to open up, there's this nice trick rook 1 to e6, threatening g6 with mate in 2. And if you take the rook, it's mate in 1 move. But by playing bishop h4 in this position, attacking this rook, after check king here, white doesn't have time to play g5 and rook e6. White must defend this rook, and after moving the rook once, now we're in the driver's seat with d4. g5 is not much of anything here because of queen f3 with very energetic play, like d3 here. And so Roman had the advantage from this position and Roman was in the driver's seat from this position and managed to convert pretty easily by getting 2 connected pass pawns, and white resigns soon enough. In our second example, Roman finds himself in a tough situation when his opponent sacrifices his knight on this pawn. And after f takes, his opponent plays e4, an extremely scary position arises. But Roman stays calm, stays patient, and plays king h8 out of the diagonal of this bishop. And now after knight takes e6, a great move, here he plays queen b6. And now white has to cash in and play bishop g5 next, but plays the mistake pawn to e5. And here Roman stays calm, and this is where concept number 2 happens. Patiently suffer until it's time to conquer. Knight d5 played, blocking the great bishop from its diagonal and sacrificing the rook for the 2 pieces, but white doesn't take and plays queen g4 next. And this is inaccurate. Now Roman saves his rook by defending checkmate, and after bishop g5, Roman got to play knight f8, super good defensive move, and converted shortly after, 5-10 moves after, and won the game. He was also in trouble against this WFM when after c5 by the WFM, a really nice breakthrough to the center, d takes, and now rook takes, Roman played f4, forking these 2 pieces, which is a huge mistake after rook takes bishop, sacrificing the exchange, and after queen takes, knight e6, attacking a lot of weaknesses and promoting the pass pawn forward. King h1, and basically Roman had to suffer through the existence of this bad position up until, and this brings us to concept number 3. Strike while the iron is hot. There's a change of heart in the position. after Ismail, his opponent, plays kind of soft king h8, and now it is time for white to bring on some action, and he goes with knight e5, attacking this pawn, and after this passive move to defend the pawn, now Roman goes knight e7, a brilliant move sacrificing his knight, and it's immune to queen takes because of knight g6 check with the discovered attack on this queen. So instead she went knight e4, and now queen takes bishop, queen takes knight, and now rook takes pawn. And here white pieces are way better up in exchange, and he managed to convert this like 45 moves later. Concept here is to strike while the iron is hot. When you have the initiative, make the most of it and create threats, anger the opponent. Our next concept comes from this position in which Roman is playing a grandmaster from Ukraine, Vitaly Bernatsky. Hope I pronounced that right. After takes, we get ourselves into a bad rook endgame for the black pieces, and Roman has to suffer through basically a losing endgame while he's playing a grandmaster. And also on time, he's low on time, he has 6 minutes, his opponent has 30 minutes. And here, my concept for you is don't care who your opponent is, because at the depths of this endgame, it is +2 for his opponent in this position after h4. But a great player fights. So Roman plays as best he can, counterattacks with his rook by plunging his rook in the opponent's zone, and trying to get all these pawns on the queen side to create some counterplay, and he does so until this position here after king to b4. Bernatsky has been playing this endgame very fast, and so his chances of making a mistake are pretty high, though he only has one move here to continue to win. Okay, two. This one is also a winning move, but one obvious one. Thing is, he needs to find rook g4 here to meet rook h2 with rook h4 to block this rook so that this pawn has the freeway. But he plays pawn to h6 here and rushes this critical decision. And now Roman decides a very nice plan. Rook h2 to try to stop this pawn. g4, and now it's a race between pawns. And as this g pawn gets very serious, Roman sacrifices his rook, king takes, and now it's a pawn race. And after this pawn race, Roman trades queens, and this pawn endgame is a complete draw after both players will queen equally. This was a crucial draw that let him get an IM norm in this tournament. In another crucial game, Roman is once again in trouble in this Taimanov that looks like a Najdorf to me. But anyways, he pushes f4, which is ill-timed because of b4 now, and this is going to seriously affect the opening of the a-file and the weakness of this king. But after he takes, his opponent doesn't find the only move that completely wins bishop takes b4, but still plays queen a1, and he is sort of in some trouble. But king d2 attacks this queen, and now check, blocks, and queen takes b2. And now Roman finds the only way out. Fight till the last tooth, regardless of where your king is. Rook b1, you'd think forces this queen out, but this leaves black with an only move, which is pawn takes and attacking the queen first. Because now after the queen leaves, which is a blunder, this pawn is hanging. And Roman eats this right up. Takes, knight d7, and then takes. These are all great moves, only moves he finds. Queen d6 check, king back. And now he takes the pawn, and after takes, knight b5 attacking the queen and bringing the knight in to try to checkmate the king soon. Queen a5 check, king here, and now he takes with check. These are all great moves. He's fighting till the last tooth, king e2, and now he goes check, takes, he's up a piece, and he consolidates this piece up, and shortly after his opponent resigns. Fight to the last tooth. Even if things don't go your way in the opening, there's always a chance to come back and bite your opponent in the bum. Thanks for watching, like and sub for more, and see you next time.